Welcome back. Back to Travel What to Know Before You Go. Now, this particular episode is going to be about phones, right? We have to have phones, so we're going to talk a little bit about phones and what you need to know to use them. So, here are the topics we're going to cover. Again, a fairly short list. We're going to talk about, will your phone work as you're traveling? We'll talk about different plans, and we'll talk about local calls. So let's go ahead and get started. Will my phone work? Well, I don't know. That's going to be a conversation you need to have with your provider. Now, there are a couple of aspects that we're talking about here. Number one, does your phone receive those radio frequencies required to travel? Now, we tend to think that, the world's all the same. We all use the same radio frequencies for telephone. And the answer to that is no, we do not. The United States, actually the Americas generally, the United States and actually some of the Americas generally use one frequency. Europe uses a different set of frequencies. Asia, it's kind of a mix and match. You don't know for sure what frequency it's going to be. Most common phones will work internationally. Okay? You're just going to have to check with your provider to see if it gets the right radio frequency for where you're going. Now, the second thing I want to talk about with this is your phone may be disabled to work outside of the country. I had a phone, looked about like the one that's right here, loved it, it was great, until we traveled to Mexico. My phone would not work in Mexico. As it turns out, my phone would not work in Canada either. It was programmed in such a way that, it might have received the same signals, the same frequencies, but it did not work outside of the United States. Again, conversation to have with your cell phone provider. So let's talk about plans for a little bit. Some plans do include international travel and some do not. You're going to have to check with your carrier to be sure. The plan that we have actually does allow us to travel to Mexico, Canada, and still have phone service with our regular phone number. If your plan does not provide that, you have some other options. Option number one, put an add-on plan to your current plan for a short length of time. A month, 2 months, whatever it's going to be. That add-on plan will cost you a little bit, but it's cheaper than buying a whole new phone, changing providers, all of those kinds of things. So look at, number one, an add-on plan. Number two, if you're going to go somewhere for an extended period of time, you may want to consider renting a phone. Now, that may be through your current provider, it may be through another provider, but it might be easier for you to rent a phone. Now you're going to have to talk to them about changing your number, moving the SIM card, all of that stuff, but that's carrier information. They're the ones that can answer that. You may be able to have your number forwarded to the rental phone rather than move a SIM card around. Talk to your carrier. Number three, again, if you're going to be someplace a long time, you may consider buying a local phone. Now, that trip that I took to Mexico, where I found out that my phone wouldn't work in Mexico, I bought a pay-as-you-go phone. I don't know, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, I don't remember what I got, but I went and got that and then distributed the new number, the Mexico number, to those people that needed to know. So I'm not stuck without a phone while I'm in Mexico. At the time, it was 20 or 30 bucks, and we were there for a week, week and a half, 2 weeks. So it really wasn't too bad. But you need to plan ahead so that you know whether your phone is going to work. Reminder down at the bottom, not all phones work in other countries. I already told you that story. Now here's another thing that you need to be aware of. If you're going on a cruise, your phone will probably work, but you are roaming. Now you may think you have roaming with your plan, not on a cruise. It's a different roaming package. We found that out the hard way. We got home, got the phone bill, and it was about 60 bucks higher than what we had planned. I know some people who have gone, and it was 300 plus higher. The kids were on the phone. They were playing games, doing whatever. If you're on a cruise, what we highly recommend you do is, yes, put your phone in airplane mode, turn the Wi-Fi back on if you have Wi-Fi available to you, and then use Wi-Fi calling. It's pretty good. Not the same thing as being back home, but it's pretty good, and you're not going to incur a huge bill for roaming on a cruise ship. So what we do is we get on the ship, we put our phones in roaming, turn on Wi-Fi, we're good to go. We get to a port, we step off of the ship, we take it out of airplane mode. Now our phone, our plan again, works internationally. So we have our regular phone number, everything. We get back on the ship. First thing we do is turn it back to airplane mode, Wi-Fi back on, Wi-Fi calling. Just a thought, something you may want to consider doing. Local phones. So you're staying someplace in another country. You want to use the local phone. The procedures there are very different. So make sure you understand how to do, and you may want to look at this before you travel. It's going to be a lot easier to Google it here than it is someplace else. You are used to dialing like 1-800, yada, 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 whatever the phone number is. Are you aware that that 1 is the country code for the United States? The country code for Mexico is 52. Different countries have different codes, and you will need to know what those codes are, especially if you're working on the local phone system. Also, we recommend that you check out the cost. It isn't this way in this country anymore, but it used to be in this country that if you used the phone for anything outside of the hotel, you had to pay for the additional calls. Some foreign countries still have that going. So make sure you know what you're getting yourself into cost-wise before you just pick up the phone and start making a call. Again, I want to thank you for watching. We will continue this series with other questions we get about cruises or specific areas, places to go. So keep checking back with us. We'll have more information that can help you in your travels. Now, if you have questions, the email's there at the bottom. If you need help booking a trip, that's what we do. Kim and I are travel agents, and we'll help you book your trip. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you later.